I'd like to share a message of support and advice to those of you who are or will become managers and leaders. You've worked hard to achieve your position of responsibility. Maybe you sold lots of cars or did a great job as a service advisor or ran the numbers well. Whatever it was that you did before becoming a manager, you did it well. That's part of why you were promoted. But things are different now. You're no longer judged by the same criteria that you were before. You are no longer responsible for the work of just one person, yourself, but for the production, training, and motivation of everyone on your team. Because think about it, if the company just wanted you to keep doing what you did before, you wouldn't have been promoted. By now you understand that you have a whole new set of expectations to live up to, and you may be wondering just what those new expectations are. So here are 9 valuable tips that will help you become an effective manager or leader. And they all have something in common. They're all about how you relate to others, especially those people on your team. As you focus on the well-being of your team, you'll be able to grow from simply being a manager, someone with subordinates, to being a leader, one who people choose to follow. As I share these 9 tips, ask yourself how you measure up to them right now and what you can do to improve. You'll be glad you did. So here are the 9 tips for people who manage others. Tip number 1, set an example for your team. Here are some ways to do that. Don't arrive late or leave early. Show a positive attitude. It'll be contagious. Plan and manage your time wisely, both for your own productivity, but also to set an example for the others to follow. Perform your work exactly as you preach it to your team. If you have scripts, procedures, or processes, use them perfectly. You need to do as you say, so they'll do as you say. Tip number 2, identify and communicate team and departmental goals. Post the goals where they can be seen. You should also post individual and team performance results and keep them up to date. Tip number 3, give recognition to your people in public, but always correct them in private. Number 4, get to know your team. Know the strengths and weaknesses of each team member. Get to know their interests, hobbies, goals, family, and their concerns. You might even decide to use a tool like the DISC profile to identify their strengths and potential weaknesses, and to be able to coach them effectively. Try to match team members so that they complement each other. Maybe you let one person with a particular strength become a coach and mentor to another person with a weakness or a need in that area. Tip number 5, meet regularly with your team members in scheduled one-on-one meetings. That's where you build relationships and coach them individually. Tip number 6, make a habit of giving both positive and corrective feedback to your team members. Number 7, always give far more positive feedback than corrective feedback. I recommend the 9-to-1 rule, where you give 9 times more positive feedback than corrective feedback. Too often, it's the other way around. Tip number 8, be approachable to your team members, but at the same time, don't be overly familiar. As a manager, you need to maintain a professional demeanor. And tip number 9, support your team through praise, encouragement, and by improving the work environment. These 9 tips can help you become a more effective manager and leader. As you work on them, you'll get better and more natural at it. Remember, even small improvements repeated over time will yield huge results.